Hi there, it's Dr. JOYLYN Sparkles and welcome to your Power Hour. This is your time to put what's on your mind on my mind, and we will put our heads and hearts together and come up with a way to go from stuck to happy as fuck in the shortest amount of time possible. And oh my goodness, if you are in Southern California, it is hot. It is hot. I am just so hot. So I've had to tell Stimpy he cannot be on my lap right now. Oh my goodness, it's so hot. And so let me get a drink of water and we'll get started. Because it's hot, it is the end of August. Today's the last day of August. Tomorrow begins September. We're at Labor Day weekend coming up. The end of summer, although it doesn't totally feel like that. And so I'm talking about, sorry, I can't get my camera correct. It's just falling over. All right, let's see if we can get it there. Okay, I can do this. I've done this before, right? Nope, totally crooked. Oh my goodness. All right, flowing with it. Cycles, because life is cycles. We're cycles. And I was thinking this morning, so much has been coming up and up with clients, with questions from the group, with personal life, with family stuff. And it's just like this upwelling of things. And it's a weird time. And it wasn't until 4 or 5 years ago when I started to put it together at the end of August has this kind of upswell, but a different pacing, a different energy about it because we are at the end and there's like an exhaustion a bit because we're being so hot and being burned out. So how do you learn to flow with these cycles? And I don't know about you, but I know for me and a couple of clients, it's been getting hit pretty heavy with some old stuff coming up. And like I say over and over, it's coming up to go. But in the movement from unconscious to conscious, we're going to feel it. We're going to hear those words. We're going to become aware of the pain that we've been stuffing down. And let me tell you, I have avoided that to a good degree this week and eaten a lot, knowing I just didn't want to face whatever it was. Knowing that I would eventually have to get there, but at that moment, I wasn't. I didn't want to. And I ate until I was uncomfortable. Here is a big difference. I acknowledged it all the way through. Just because we acknowledge something doesn't mean it immediately changes, but the energy immediately changes. And it becomes that much more available for further change, if that makes sense. So we're never at a standstill. We're very rarely ever going backwards. We might have to review some things, but we're generally not regressing, generally. It'll happen from time to time. No big deal. That's generally, though, when we're unconscious, is when we age regress. Just a side note. So let me just start with the outline that I wrote. Because this is the energy. It's a lot from a lot of different directions. There's this, it's all right here. It's all up in our face right now. And I've talked about learning to surf, and it's amazing what a great metaphor for life it is. I've learned so much about my life, about myself, and about the way the world works and the process and cycles through athletics. I've given a speech about how trail running is a great metaphor for living. Volleyball has always been a place where I could go and get some life lessons. And now it's surfing and seeing how the movement of the waves and how nothing is ever the same twice. Things come in sets. There's always cycles. There's tides. And Mother Nature does what she wants when she wants to, which is the truth of how nature is. And that the people who are the most successful, there's one quote from, I can't remember where, but it's the most successful surfer is the one who's having the most fun. But what attracted me to surfing originally was that knowing I'm such an emotional person. I know a lot of you guys that are here because we came into these dysfunctional families having a lot of awareness and being attuned to other people and their emotions, and then having this great intensity within us and not knowing what to do with the energy, how to discharge, dissipate it, flow with it. And now we're an adult having to work with this, seeing our tempers flare up, seeing how reactive we are, and how then we can go into negative thinking. And are we dissociating, or are we fight or fighting, depending on what age it happened and when it got put into our nervous systems. But I could see that on the ocean, some people were playing with the waves. So what was looking very scary to some, and I'll never do that, and there's sharks in the water or whatever it is, some people are playing and having fun with it, to where everything just becomes a matter of perspective. And if we can change our perspective, we can change our entire lives. Who we are in the world, who we are in the universe, what we can accomplish, what we can contribute, where our boundaries are, what we deserve, what we're worth. All of this is just a matter of perspective. And what we're learning how to do is have that be internally driven and tap back into the infinite and being remembering, connecting who we really are, rather than seeking it, searching it, finding it, and creating it in relationship, in reference to someone else. That's what the 90-day relationship remodel is all about. It's remodeling the relationship you have with yourself so that you are your reference point, not anybody or anything else. Not your job, not your spouse, not your parents, not your kids, not your activity. You are so much more than a role. And so this is all perspective. And so surfing also was leading me to an entity, a creature, the ocean, who also moves in waves. Like me, I know my emotions. They come and they roll. And for so long, I just felt like it was tidal wave, tidal wave, tidal wave. And I was just getting crushed and crashed on. And knowing if I am an emotional person and I can't take that out of me, and that's something about my design and it's how I'm meant to flow and move with life, there's got to be a way to have harmony with that. And to be it without being at the effect of it. And so I was like, I think I just need to connect with the ocean, because she moves in waves. She does what she wants. She doesn't apologize for who she is. And when she is just who she is, people are playing and having a good time with her. Yeah, some people are resenting her and it's too cold, and it's too this, and you're too much, and you're too scary, and you're too big, and you're too whatever. And some people are like, I'm so happy you're here. I love the smell. I love the sights. I love the feel. I like on the days when I surf that I go to sleep and I can feel the waves of the ocean. Like my inner ears are still kind of moving when I get still. I love that. I wanted to be with her more. So that when I'm talking about cycles, you are not separate from nature. So immerse yourself in nature, and she will teach you how to go with these rhythms. And you just find the piece or element of nature that is the most easily accessible, that is going to be most nurturing and generative at the time, because for a long time for me it was the woods. And I actually do miss trees, and I'm looking to get there soon, because that is an element that I've been missing. So the ocean's closer, it's more easily accessible. Sometimes it has been desert. There were a couple of times in the last couple of winters I had to go to the desert. There's a solitude there, and an ease and a quiet that's there. So find the nature, and if you think that there's none, any tree in your neighborhood is available for a hug. I know Anna loves when I talk about hugging trees, and anytime anybody talks about hugging trees, she now thinks of me, because they are amazing huggers. They really are. Trees will gift you. A houseplant will gift to you. It is nature. Your pet that you often take for granted, but sitting with them, they have retained their connection to nature. They're not trying to be somebody else. They're just animals. And so if you can relax, and they will be there for you. If you're hard pressed, watch a nature documentary. My octopus teacher was phenomenal as far as getting you into the sense of being fascinated by nature and watching the ease and surrender that they have of just being part of it all. So that when we're talking about cycles and how do you navigate these, nature is a great ally. The thing that comes up is, You actually have to choose it and take action to be with it. That's up to you. It is constantly there, constantly present, constantly ready and willing to give, but you have to go to receive. So do put that on your priority list. It will help tremendously. Now, when we're talking about cycles, one of the things I'm going to talk about, because it's been coming up because I've been learning a lot about the ocean, is waves come in sets. And a lot of times they'll have what's called a clear out set, where some waves, they'll come, they'll reform, but then there will be a set that kind of washes everything out, and it's kind of like a reset. That happens for us as well. But also, when you are caught in a set, which is what you're trying to catch when you're surfing, because you want to be on the wave. So there will be lulls where not much is going on, and we've had those in our lives. We just talked about that, like 2 weeks ago, of how to deal and relax when things are good. You don't have to stir anything up. You can actually just relax and breathe and enjoy the peace, because the wave will come. And when it does, if you get knocked off balance, if you get caught up, like just this week, I tend to do fairly well with not getting caught in drama, but this week some family stuff came up and I got sucked into the drama, and I was wondering why I was feeling so off, because I got knocked off of balance. But when you get knocked off your board, you have to go with the wave. And what that means is you have to know the wave's going to pass. The people who do the worst are the people who panic and immediately try to pop up. So you're going to pop up in the height of the wave and just get more water. You relax and you let it go over you. You don't fight it, and you don't get rigid either, because then you get pushed farther. You just sort of move with it. That's what we have to do when we realize we've been knocked off balance. We don't have to immediately stiffen up and start beating ourselves up and I should have done better. You just kind of recognize, I'm off balance, I'm off my board. Let me just hang on for a second and let this one roll. Now, for a lot of us, perfectionistic, driven, very detail-oriented, intelligent, we might think that that's getting off too easy. That's actually something we have to practice, because it's actually the fastest way to progress. Perfection no longer is our measuring stick. It is no longer the fastest way from point A to B. It's now the slowest, and we're valuing speed, because if you're like me, to at least some degree, what you're wanting to get to faster is happiness. The perfection slowing us down, because we're never going to reach perfection until we reach the other side of the veil, because it's not here. As soon as we reach it, the marker moves. That's the problem with perfection here. And if we insist on it and work towards it, we just slow ourselves down. And if we get rigid and we try to judge ourselves into this next wave, we're going to get immediately knocked off, because when you're hard, you do not have good balance. You've got to be flexible. So that's number one. When the wave comes, if you get knocked off balance, let it flow. I have a magnet, and it's an American proverb. It's a cowboy, but let go or be dragged. If you get knocked off your horse and you're out of the saddle, you gotta let go. Otherwise, the horse is just gonna drag you. Okay? Same with a wave. Same with kind of anything. You have to let go, and that's on you to relax, to not stiffen up, to not dig in, to not entrench yourself further into something that's not working, that was the cause of the misbalance in the first place. Okay? So relax. Also know that in all of these cycles, and I call it the washing machine. When I get knocked off, I get back on my board, I get knocked off again. It's the washing machine, okay? There's just going to be days and parts of your life where that's what it feels like. Every time you stand up, you get knocked down. It's a lather, rinse, repeat, because whenever you are going from stuck to happy as fuck, the very first part of the process that you're going to notice is your awareness expands. So it may look or feel like things are getting worse, but they're not. It's just all the things that were holding you back, that aren't congruent with the target that you're aiming for and the direction that you're taking you in your life. They don't match. But now the space and distance that you have from it allows you to see it and be aware of it because you're no longer in it. A fish doesn't really know it's in water until it's out of water, and then it's like, oh, I liked that better. That was where I belonged, okay? When you are recognizing, oh my God, I have such a negative thinking habit. Oh my God, all these negative thoughts, they are just pounding me and pounding me and pounding me. There is space for gratitude and celebration there, because at one point you didn't even recognize those thoughts as negative. They were just normal because you were so in it. It was so natural. But now you're knowing you want more happiness, you want more of you want more ease and fluidity and creativity, so that negative thinking can't happen. So as soon as you change your focus, you change your gaze and you move there, there's now some space between you and negative thoughts. You can start to hear them and see them. You can start to hear them and see them in other people and in yourself. It's not that everybody or yourself is getting worse, you're just actually having the ability to have more perspective and see it. But it's a lather, rinse, repeat cycle, because like when they say knowledge is power, it is, but knowing is only half the battle, okay? The awareness of it is only a partial step, because then we have to continue to pivot and keep looking toward our target instead of trying to go back into this negative habit, getting rigid, digging our heels in, and trying to force things and correct things and fix things and focus on the problem. We have to continue to keep our gaze set on our target and say, that's where I'm going. And it is going to feel weird, because it's going to be weird of, why would I allow myself to feel better if I'm acknowledging that I made a mistake? Because focusing on the mistakes and judging ourselves didn't work. If it would have, we would already be at our targets, okay? But we're going to have to do that over and over and over again to create a new habit of continuing to look at our target instead of looking at our fault and the problem. It's also required because that is how the nervous system recalibrates. There is never a one and done. Our nervous systems were not created in a big bang sort of thing. It took 9 months to develop the first time, and it's been going ever since then, of destruction, recreation, remodeling, reconfiguring, and it takes repetition to do that. So know that if you have to do it and you have to do it again, you have to do it again, that's still progress. Lather, rinse, repeat, okay? And then acknowledge your progress. This is often a very missed step that is so important to maintaining progress. Because if we don't acknowledge how far we've come and who we've become, we don't get the gift. And we'll often then feel depleted and lose the motivation to keep going. And this actually got highlighted for me this morning, because I had a friend that I just talked to. She's my coach, the one that I actually moved to Southern California to work with. And she was just like, oh my goodness, look how far you've come in a year. You're on a surfboard, you're in a healthy relationship, you are smiling, you have got things in line and prepared to go public. None of that was possible a year ago. But it's very easy to get caught up in it hasn't happened yet. It hasn't blown up yet. I haven't been booked. I haven't, I've gotten bits of the things in place that are absolutely essential, but the whole thing hasn't come together. So it can be easy for me, who has the habit of being hard on myself and very critical, to say, oh, I haven't done enough. I'm not doing enough because it hasn't happened yet. But it is happening, and it's actually noticeable from the outside. So if you are at a place where you have been intentionally working on a pattern, ask somebody to reflect for you. I know I have some people, this is the gift that I often give to my clients. I had a client who booked last week because she's like, I've got a pattern, I need your help to break it. And once we talked, I was like, oh my goodness, you're doing everything right. which is rare that I can say that, but she's freaking phenomenal. And she was just everything that we worked on in the 90-day relationship remodel, she was putting into play. And having so much more space and awareness with herself and more ease and relaxation with other people and their timing and not getting bent out of shape, but it just felt unnatural to her. Kind of disorienting because this isn't who she's known herself as previously. It is who she's becoming, and she's starting to become it. So I actually got to be the gift of saying, you're freaking amazing. Keep going, doing exactly what you're doing. The only reason it's a little bit disconcerting is because it's not complete. It's not all done. You're in process, but I can see the difference. And here's this and this and this and this, and I can tell her the observations that I make. Ask someone to reflect for you because that's valuable information. And it also lets people gift to you because they may have noticed it, but a lot of people are actually afraid to say something because sometimes compliments can be taken in the wrong way. But if you actually ask for the information, they have an invitation to share. But you also take inventory and be honest about the changes that you've made. And some of the things that are uncomfortable, they're uncomfortable because you've actually started to take action and expand your awareness. So yay you. Have gratitude. Acknowledge the work that you've done so that you can build on that. Because praise and encouragement are actually highly motivating. Judgment is not. Judgment, like we talked about last week, will drive you into a need for coping mechanisms and keep you stuck. Encouragement, empowerment, looking for what's going well and right, that's how we develop intrinsic motivation. I think, my nose itches. Final point, and this is a biggie. When we are in process, we are moving, we've set our targets, some things are changing, some things are in progress. It may be when we're in the middle of it, when we're in the weeds, when we've just gotten knocked off balance, whatever, that we can't tell where we are because it's slightly disorienting. Because we're in the middle of it, so nothing looks like how it used to, but we don't necessarily have the sign points that other people have told us about in the past. Where the hell are we? Am I going in the right direction or am I going in the wrong direction? Is this me regressing or is this me being in an upward spiral and I'm hitting things on a different level? Or, God, am I in a downward spiral and I'm going to hell in a handbasket? How do I know the difference? Now, as I've stated before, one of the big differences is knowing what the voice and what the body is telling you. If you tap in and get out of your headspace and drop your awareness, can I feel my feet? Take some breaths, make sure they're belly breaths. Get your awareness to sink into your body and then you can ask things like, what's required right now? Am I moving in the right direction? Am I off balance? Am I off course? And it's going to be a calm voice that answers with truth. And it's generally going to say it once, not over and over and over. If you get really chit-chattery, incessant, and repetitive, that is your mind. That is habit. That's the stuff that we're trying to get out of and move away from. So if you're not sure, get to quiet. That's again where nature can help. But quiet is going to be your ally so that you can connect with yourself and the deeper thing. The other thing, again, like not being rigid, don't fucking stop. There is a difference between rest and stop. And what a lot of us have done in our lives is the self-sabotaging mechanism of start, stop, start, stop, start, stop. Why do we do that? Because our nervous systems are fritzed. It's what we've seen a lot of other people do, and it's what we've done to and for ourselves a great deal in our lives. So we have to get out of start, stop, knowing that rest is essential. But again, if you're not sure what to do, look to your target and take another step in that direction. That step is going to inform you of if you need to slow down, speed up, take another step forward or rest for a second. The information is in the going. If you look at marine life, sharks especially, they have to move in order to keep going. They have to move in order to breathe. If they totally stop, they die, because then the water and the air isn't getting to them. We have some of this as well. We are perpetual motion. We are, because we're not separate from nature. Nature is constantly moving and growing. Now there is growth and rest cycles. So it's not like we have to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And that's where we tap in. Is it a quiet voice or is it a loud voice? Because we know the information I need is going to become available when I take one more step forward. And I may only get a quarter way through that step when the information presents itself and says pause. So I can pause. But if I hear this incessant, no, keep going because you already started. Keep going, you already started. Don't stop now, blah, 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 blah. Not for me. Not for me. The information is going to become available as we move forward. But our commitment is to our target. And we have to know that slow down to speed up and sometimes rest is involved with that. So paying attention to what the information is actually saying, not deciding beforehand, concluding, and forcing and pushing our way through it. We have all done that enough. That is internalized abuse. It's the old way that we know through experience doesn't work. We can start practicing setting it down and doing something different. And that is to continue in the direction of our target, even when it's uncomfortable, when there's a lot of feelings and emotions going on, and we don't know exactly what to do. But if we can continue to take tiny baby steps forward and just breathe through it, knowing that the information will present itself as we go. And if we need to rest, we can, but always knowing that rest is part of our commitment to get there. Never a giving up or abandoning ourselves. That's what stopping is that complete self-doubt that says, this will never work. Nothing I do matters. Why do I even try? I'm doing it all wrong. That's the stop. And then we got to pick it all up and put it back together so we can start again, because we really know that we really want this target, because it's the desire that we placed in our heart, because it's what we wanted to become, to have it. So we can rest and we can pause and we can get to quiet and we can reconnect with nature to say, hey, show me how to do this. And the information will come and you will know what to do. It's all just navigating cycles and waves and knowing that the potential and possibility to have fun with the process is there. And some people are doing it. It's not to say that their wave is easier than yours. It's just that they've been doing it longer, or they've just decided they're going to have fun with it instead of getting pummeled by it. They're going to learn how to relax and let it flow over them instead of getting rigid and panicking and trying to come up and sucking in a bunch of water, trying to get a breath of air. Totally counterproductive. And we've all done this. So you all know what I'm talking about, even if you don't surf, even if you don't live near the ocean. There is greater ease. There is so much more available for a greater capacity to love and having more fun, more confidence and happiness, even as you progress. Even as, like, the confidence comes from doing, the confidence comes in the taking action and making movements towards your target. And the target that, because you're remodeling the relationship with yourself, is something that you want, that you determined, the desire that's in your heart, that you placed there before you came, that you decided this is who I want to see me become so that I can have this. It's such a thrilling and enlivening experience to be here, to do this. You get the gift of being you. You came to bring and experience something that only you as you could do. And the world is waiting for it, and we want it. And it's fun to see it develop, and it's fun for you to witness it as it's happening. And when you lose vision of it, you go to nature to reconnect with it, and she'll remind you where you're off course and how to reconnect with you. And if you need a friend, because we are here to help each other, say, hey, can you tell me something right? Because all I can see is all my flaws and how I'm not there yet. But can you help me get some new perspective? Get a coach if you need it. I've got programs available that this is exactly what we're doing, is teaching you how to create a future forward focus so that your target is based on you, your reference points, and it's what you want to create for your life, and it's not based on judgment, and it's not based on fixing. And then how to handle the emotional intensity when all this old stuff comes up, because you can't take it with you because it's not going to fit and it's going to be too heavy to carry from here to there. And when you're that person, you have no interest in it anyway. So how do you actually do that? There's actually tools and techniques to help you be able to pivot and continue your progress faster. There's ways to let it out of your body, out of your tissues, so that your actual body can become a greater tool for your evolution, growth, development, and become your ally, your best kept secret tool. And then you've got a coach who's saying, you're off target, but look at this. Here's your perspective. Hey, you're doing great. Here's one more thing I just want you to keep in mind. And these things are valuable, and it's available for you. And if you're interested in working with me, I would love to talk to you. Like I said, we've got Power Hour every week, obviously. Happiness Brain Training, 6-week Get Unstuck Happy as Fuck Challenge starting in 2 weeks. 90-day relationship remodel goes when you go because it's individual. Love Yourselves is starting next month, I think 2nd week as well. Naturopathic medicine with coaching, so greater body involvement. There is so much available for you through me. But if that's not what you're thinking or had in mind, you can still talk to me. I will hook you up with whatever resource I know of that's available. Or you put it out there to the universe. That's when you're going to have these synchronistic and serendipitous conversations and meetings with people, because the universe is going to give you what you're asking for. Start asking for what you'd like instead of what you don't want. Start relaxing and letting the waves pass and moving with them and becoming part of nature and moving in cycles instead of trying to resist and react to it. You've got this. And if you need a break, it's flipping hot. Nature herself is moving at a slightly slower pace than she did at the beginning of summer, because we're all just a little bit exhausted by the heat. Take your cue from nature, slow down, relax, cool down your core, don't flip the fuck out, and you've got this. Fall is on its way. You can trust the process. And I will see you guys next week in September. Okay? So things are already changing. You can trust the process. I'm here for you, and I'm loving you, and I can't wait to see you next week. Mwah.